Welcome to this week's Parsha video. As always, the Parsha video is presented to you in coordination with the Weiss Entertainment Network. 613 on your dial. This week's Parsha is Parshat Chayei Sarah. As you see that there is a little line on the bottom of the screen, Chevron Yer Ha'avot B'Shelanu L'Dorei Dorot. As we're going to soon see, that Avram Avinu purchases Chevron Maras HaMachpelah from Ephron Achiti, and Hebron becomes the eternal city of the Avot, because each and every one of the Avot lives in Hebron. In the beginning of this parsha, we find that Sarah Bas Mea Ve'asim Shana B'Mota, Sarah Imenu dies. Rashi comments that she heard about the Akedah, and she thought that maybe Abraham Avinu was not stopped and did not realize that it was only a test, and the thought of that he may have shechted Yitzchak caused her to die. Rashi brings down that the Satan came to her with that image. Anyway, the pasuk uses the term ben me'ah esrim shana. Bas me'ah Chayei Sarah me'ah shana esrim shana v'sheva shanim. It says that she was 120 and like 7. So Rashi comments that her righteousness, she was such a tzaddikus, like when she was 127, she was as righteous as when she was 100, as she was righteous when she was 27, and she was as righteous as when she was a kid. When Avram hears about the death of Sarah, it says he comes and he cries for her and he gives her a eulogy. Eulogy is a hesped, is a special speech that we give when a person dies. Halacha is that when a person dies, we're supposed to say words that cause people to cry over them. So Abraham said what was known as a hesped. After that takes place, as we see in the background, the picture of Maras HaMachpelah. The Medrash brings down that Adam smelled the smell of Gan Eden when he passed by Maras HaMachpelah. The Medrash also brings down that he heard a bas kol, a heavenly voice come down and say, "Here is buried Adam and Chava." And Avram realized that Maras HaMachpelah is a special place. It's also interesting to note that the Torah calls Hebron Kiryat Arba. In fact, today there's a settlement right outside of Hebron called Kiryat Arba. So Rashi brings down Kiryat Arba represents the 4 pairs that were buried in Maras HaMachpelah: Adam and Chava, Abraham and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, and Yaakov and Leah. So the Torah describes an entire process where first Abraham meets Bnei Chet, and then he meets Ephron Achiti, and at first they offer him the Maras HaMachpelah for free, and then in the end, for quite a significant amount of money, Abraham buys Maras HaMachpelah. In fact, as we see here in the picture, Bishul Abraham Meo Shekel Kesef. Abraham buys Maras HaMachpelah for 400 Shekel Kesef. In the end, he buries Sarah there in Maras HaMachpelah, as we see in the picture in the background. There's a custom that on this Shabbos, Hebron will be super crowded, as lots of people make a special trip just to go to Hebron on Shabbos, Parshas Chayei Sarah. Torah tells us, Abraham Zakein Baba Yamim B'Hashem Berachas Abraham Bakol. That Abraham was sick, he was old in his days, and Hashem blessed him with everything. Rashi comments, Bakol, Ole V'Gematria. Bakol is with Gematria, the numerical value of the word Bakol is Ben, which is 52. So the Medrash brings down that Avram realized that now that he has a son, he has to marry him off. Part of that idea was that Avram wanted to make sure that his lessons that he brought to the world would continue into the next generation. So we know the famous story. You can see the camels in the background. Avram calls Eliezer and makes him swear to him that he will not take a wife for Yitzchak from the daughters of Canaan, because the daughters of Canaan were a cursed nation, as Noah cursed Ham, who was the father of Canaan. And so Avram wanted no part of the daughters of Canaan. And Avram sends Eliezer to Hebron with 10 camels and to find a proper wife from his family that's in Hebron. It says Avram Shalah et Eliezer le Hebron. When Eliezer gets to Hebron, as we see here, he sits by the well, and he davens that his mission should be successful. We know that he davens and he says that he's going to ask the girl for water, and if she says that your camels, as we see in the picture here, that your camels should also drink, so then Eliezer will know that that's a proper daughter for Yitzchak. So we know the story that the Medrash brings down with the first time Rivka ever went out. And Rivka comes out and she, as you see in the picture, gives the water to the camels. Then Eliezer is brought to the house of Besuel because he gives gifts to everyone, and he tells his story. And he tells how Abraham gave everything to Yitzchak, and now he's here to find a proper wife. In the midst of the discussion, Lavan and Besuel, they actually Medrash brings down, they tried to poison him. So he wouldn't go. They tried to convince him to stay for a long time, but in the end, they decide. Rivka In the end, they decide to ask Rivka, and she says that she will go. So, and then it says before she left, Lavan and his mother gave a special bracha to Rivka. The bracha was Achotenu atayil al rivava v'yirash zarech eight shar son av, which means Rashi says that means that they blessed Rivka that she should receive all the brachas that Hashem promised to Abraham. That through her children should be the continuity of the chain that began with Abraham. Up to this very day, we use that bracha. That bracha is said to every kala, to every bride, before the chuppah, when the chassan is brought in for what's called the bedecking. That's when he puts the veil on her, and the two fathers always give her that bracha, the bracha that Lavan gave to Rivka, that every wedding should be the continuation in the chain that began with Abraham. And on that note, they left Haran on their way back to Eretz Yisrael. So we see here the tent, the picture of the tent of Rivka. So there are a few things that are known. So Rivka comes back with Eliezer, and he finds that Yitzchak was davening in the field. Gemara tells us that it was late afternoon, and Yitzchak came to Tefillas Mincha. That Yitzchak was the first person to daven Mincha. What's also interesting to note is Yitzchak understood what Eliezer was doing, what mission he was on, and he was davening that he should come back with a proper wife for him. I think the message is very clear that when we have needs and we want things to work out, we want matches to take place. It doesn't matter if it's for the sake of a wedding, or it could be for a job, or it could be a school, or whatever it might be. We always have to daven that Hashem should make it work. It says that Yitzchak brought Rivka into Sarah's tent. We see here the cloud above the tent, and we see the special brachas. So Rashi brings down the famous medrash that Shekol Zman Shetzora Kayemes Hayaner Daluk Me'erev Shabbos Erev Shabbos Ubracha Mitsuya V'Isa V'Anan Kasher Al Olo. Rashi brings the famous medrash that when Sarah was alive, there were three things that were always obvious in her tent. Number one, the candles never went out. They burned from Erev Shabbos to Erev Shabbos. Secondly, there was a special bracha that in the dough, that every time she baked, there was always enough food. There was even more food than was necessary. And secondly, as we see in the picture, Anan Kashor Al Ha'oel, that there was a special cloud that represented Hashem's presence always above Sarah's tent. Umisha Mesa, and when she died, Rashi says, Pasku, it all went away. Ukishabo Rivka Chazru. But when Rivka entered the tent, the righteousness of Rivka was so clear that all those three things returned to the tent. And then the pasuk says, "Vayinachem achari mother." Yitzchak was comforted over the death of his mother. That Rivka, because of her righteousness and the recognition that she was a special woman that he will be married to, it says that he felt comforted over the loss of his mother. And they get married, and next week's parsha we'll discuss the development of their family. The parsha ends with a number of things. It says Avram remarries, has a number of children, but in the end he gives everything to Yitzchak and sends them away and gives the other children special gifts. The Torah also narrates to us the death of Abraham, and it says how Hashem comes and gives Yitzchak a special bracha upon the death of Abraham. The simple way to understand it was almost like Hashem was paying a shiva call to Yitzchak. The Gemara tells us that it's another example of how we follow in Hashem's ways. Just like Hashem comes to comfort mourners, we also come to comfort mourners. The Torah also ends the parsha telling us that Yishmael had children as well. Later on, we're going to see that Esav's son marries Yishmael's daughter. The other point that's important about Yishmael here is that he does tshuva, and he is recognized in a positive way. And in fact, we even see that when Abraham dies, it says that Yitzchak and Yishmael bury him in Maras Machpelah, but Yitzchak was the lead, and Yishmael recognized that. That is the end of this week's parsha. In summary, again, this video has been brought to you by the Weiss Entertainment Network, 613 on your dial. Stay tuned for the coming weeks for more programming on the parsha and other areas. Take care. Have a good Shabbos.